In today's video, I will be testing over 20 different AI models to see if we can solve the same coding problems for each model. So you can see I built this app here that makes this more easy to do. We can select our provider, we can select our model version, and you can see here this is running the test now. We are generating like a plan, a code, and we will get like an evaluation result at the end. Okay, so you can see GPT-4o Mini, yeah, we passed the unit test, we passed the output, that was correct. All test was complete, and this makes it kind of easy to test different models on the same problems. So today we are going to be running through one quite simple problem as we did here. We also have a hard Leetcode problem that gonna really give these models a hard test to see if they can solve it. And I will of course be keeping track of every single results in the spreadsheet you can see here, so we can kind of wrap this up at the end and see what models could solve each problem. So yeah, let's just get started and see if we can find any interesting results here. So before we start running a test, let me just show you a bit about the app here and kind of what's behind the app. So it's very easy to use. We can just select our provider. So we have OpenAI, we got some models. We have Anthropic, Claude 3.5, right? We have connected Ulama to this, so we can do local models. We have Grok, Llama 70B, right? And some Mistral models here. We even got like a Mamba version here, that's interesting. So very easy to use, but the problems and the code solving and the prompts are of course on the back end. So I just want to take you quite quickly through how I set this up. I think we're just going to start by looking at the first problem we have. Then we can kind of look a bit more at the code. So the simple problem I want to solve using this, it's just we have like a prompt here with a problem statement. I conducted a survey where I asked 10,000 people to pick a number between 1 and 100. The responses have been recorded in a file named randomnumbers.txt, which is in the current working directory. I need an algorithm to sort the 3 most popular, most frequently chosen numbers from these 3 responses in descending order. And the task is write a Python code to solve the given problem. So that is the simple problem we're going to feed each model to solve using code, right? And we have a hard problem. We're going to go through that. That is the Leetcode. We're going to take a look at that afterwards. But let's take a quick look at the prompts now before we get into it. So since we already have like a list here of 10,000 different numbers, right? We can kind of set some validation here. Since I know the answers are 74, 66 and 31, that makes it really easy to test if the model gets the output correct, right? So we have some validation here, right? That is just going to validate if all of 3 numbers are present in the output, then this is going to be returned valid, right? So we can get this ticked off here. So we have like true and true. If the unit passes test, we get true. And if the output is correct, we get true. You will see that when we run it. So let's take a quick look at the prompts here. So we have something called generate plan. So this is just going to take our problem like we looked at and create a step-by-step plan to solve this problem. I'm not going to go through every single prompt here, but it's pretty basic. And we're going to create some unit tests. So basically, you can see here, also include the 3 most important unit tests to test the code so it won't break in the plan. And we also have a function that can generate test files if that is needed for unit tests, right? We might take a look at that afterwards. And then we're going to have a prompt to write the code from the plan we generated. We're going to write the unit tests from the plan we generated. We're going to execute all of the code we created. And that is basically how this is set up. And we're going to output all the results, right? And we're going to validate these outputs to kind of get the confirmation in the UI, right? There's a lot more behind here, but I'm not going to spend too much time on this. This code will be available for members if you want to play around with it. And you can see on the front end part, we kind of set this up. So we can have a list here, or we can set our different models here from the providers. And we also have like a provider selector here, right? So it's a pretty easy to add and remove models from our UI. So I'm pretty happy how this turned out, and it's very easy to use. So, but I'm not going to spend too much time on the code in this video. I just want to get around to testing different models. And like I said, if you're interested, this is available if you become a member of the channel. I'm going to put this up on the GitHub. But yeah, let's just get into it and start testing some different models on our simple problem. So I created this spreadsheet here that we're gonna kind of fill out to see at the end here what models did actually pass the simple test, and we kind of have the same for the Leetcode problem we're gonna run afterwards. But with that, I think we're just gonna go through the full list here. Let's do like a couple of tests live, and then I'm just gonna speed up and test every model, and then we can kind of go back to see the results here, right? So I'm just gonna start with OpenAI. Let's just do GPT-4o Mini now, just because it's so quick. So let's just do that live now. So now we have selected our simple problem. So you're just gonna click on Start Evaluation. You can see we are using GPT-4o Mini. We're gonna generate a plan. And this plan is gonna be kind of returned in the UI here. Yeah, it's taking us a bit of time to process to create the plans. You can see here we get the step-by-step plan. We get the code it's gonna run, right? We get the code for unit tests. And you can see here's the main code, and here's the test code and the output. So the top 3 most frequently chosen numbers was 74, 66, and 31. This should give this model a pass, right? Perfect. So unit test passed, output was correct. This means that GPT-4o Mini did actually, yeah, do this flawlessly. So no issues there. That worked very good. So now we can kind of tick that off on our eval Google Sheet, right? But let's try another model. So let's do like a small local model. So I'm not expecting these models to solve this. So let's try this Phi3 latest. So this is a very small model. I think it's like 2 billion or something. So let's see if this has any chance of solving this. My guess is no. So this is running locally now. It should be pretty quick. I think it's gonna do all the steps, but I doubt it's gonna fix this. So you can see we get a step-by-step Python code. We get some unit tests here. Here's the main code. Here's the test code. Wow, it solved it. So that was pretty impressive. Okay, so Phi3 solved it too. That's pretty cool. I didn't really expect that. Okay, so we can tick that off too. Let's try, let's do Anthropic's Claude 3 Haiku. Now that Phi3 solved this, I kind of expect basically all models to do it, but I'm not so sure about that. But let's see now. So it's pretty quick. Okay, so here you can see it failed, right? So test failed. So it didn't solve this. It tried again. No, we got another wrong. So now we're probably gonna get like a test failed here, right? So you can see it's probably gonna pop up here. Okay, so that failed, right? And if you wanted to, you can go down here and maybe you can do some eval and look what happened. But now we have done 3 models. So Claude 3 Haiku failed, Phi3 passed, and GPT-4o Mini passed. So let me just put that into the sheet, and I'm gonna speed through every single model and just fill out the sheet, and then we can take a look. So yeah, let me just speed this up, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, so I stopped it here. Now I have gone over every single model. Before we take a look at the results, I wanted to just let me show you what almost all the time went wrong with the open source model. So the code they write are great, right? So all the functions they are writing and the unit tests, the way they want to generate the tests files, everything looks great. But they can't follow the instructions so well, so they end up not following the instructions from the prompt, and by not doing that they can't get an executable file that we can actually, if you take a look at test.py here now, if we go into cursor here, we find the test file it created, right? Test.py. You can see it doesn't remove the text here, it doesn't strip this before trying to execute the file. So that is what I've seen on the, and you can see on the bottom here, the open source models don't have enough instruction following to actually do that. And that means that we get an error when they try to execute this. So this kind of skews the results a bit, because I think the code they are writing is very good, but they lack in instruction following that the proprietary models are very good at. So even though CodeStroll performs very well at the coding, they can't really complete my test here because they lack in instruction following. But let's just head over to the results now. There were some interesting results, right? So let me zoom in a bit. Okay, so you can see all the OpenAI models passed. All the Anthropic models, not except Haiku, that failed. All the Mistral models except Open Mistral Nemo passed. So Mistral Large and Open Code Stroll Mamba, that passed. That was great. Both the Llama 3.1 models passed. Gemma 2 failed. And the local Llama 3.1, that failed. DeepSeek Coder did something strange. It failed. It failed. I think it was the opposite. It passed the unit test, but it failed, like the output was wrong. So that was a bit strange. I don't know what happened there. I kind of forgot to look into it. So that was a bit strange. Phi 3, as we looked at the beginning, that passed. I think that was because the unit test it wrote was so simple. I want to try it again. And all the other local models failed, right? I just want to run Phi 3 one more time to see if we can replicate that, because that was very surprising. So let's just try it. It's so quick anyway. Okay, so I have run Phi, I think it's 8 times now or something, or 6 times. So I'm gonna give it one more run. So one run is 3 attempts of solving. I think we just had a stroke of luck on the first time I did it. So if all of these 3 attempts fail, I'm gonna change it to, yeah, that it did not pass. But again, I'm not seeing, I see the code here, it looks pretty interesting, the code looks pretty good, but again, it's just the instruction following that fails. You can see it can't really follow the instruction I gave it, that we have to do some regex and actually strip away something to actually execute the code we are writing. So I guess this test shows that all the models can write good code, but again, you can see they can't really do the instruction follow. So if you're gonna use some of these in like an agentic system, we need good instruction following, right? So I guess this is some kind of test of that too, combined, like I said, with the code it writes. So I think we're gonna have to change this to fail. I'm sorry, Phi. So yeah, I think that's enough for the first test. That took some while, but now I think we're gonna move on to the test that is much harder to complete, right? This was just a test. So that is gonna be the hard Leetcode problem. So let's just head over there, take a quick look at the problem, and I'm gonna show you what kind of problem I picked. And let's do like a few live tests, and then we're gonna run it through and see if any of these models can actually solve it. So I wanted to try to pick a Leetcode problem that is, yeah, probably not in the dataset. So I went to contests. This was a contest that was published on the August of 18th. So if you click on this, you can see. So the problem I wanted to pick was this one, right? So if we take a look at this now, you can see this is a hard problem. So find the largest palindrome divisible by k. I don't know what that means. So I hope it should not be in the dataset, right? So I'm basically going to copy the full problem here with all the examples and the constraint. And I'm going to leave in this the class solution that we are going to use for this. And we're going to copy every single test case here, right? So if you go to our problem.3.text, you can see I pasted in the Leetcode problem here with all the constraints, and then we have kind of a template. So that is going to be Python 3 and kind of the setup for the class solution with the function largest palindrome. Yeah, okay. And here are the test cases. So we have test case 1, n equals 3, k equals 5. We have test case 2, n equals 1, k equals 4, right? That is kind of what we picked from here. And that is all I'm going to give it. I'm not going to change up the prompts, so I'm only going to swap from the simple problem to the Leetcode problem. Of course, the output here is going to be false, but we're going to see if we can pass the unit tests. We're going to hopefully use these test cases for, and then we're going to copy the code that is generated and go back to Leetcode and try to paste in the code here and run it to see if it's going to get accepted, right? So yeah, I think we're just gonna get going. So if we go back here now, let me just go to the back end here. Because we need to change up the problem. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I'm just gonna set, you can see now we just changed the simple problem to problem3.text, right? And that is gonna be all we have to do to switch up the problem, right? And I think for that we need to restart the server. So like this, okay? The front end is running, yeah. Let's go to our app, let's refresh this. So now we have a different problem, right? So let's just do 1 or 2 live here. So again, I want to try GPT-4o mini first. That is a very quick model, and from my initial testing, it's very good. Yeah. Also, GPT-4o is very good at solving these problems. So let's do GPT-4o mini, and let's do Claude 3.5 or something, and see if, or we can, yeah, we'll pick a model, but let's try this one first. So you can see it now, it's gonna try to solve this. Okay, that was super quick. So it created like a code implementation here. So we have the code it's gonna run, and the unit tests are gonna be the one we provided, right? That's great. It wrote those tests, putting in those numbers. Okay, nice. And it ran this, and it got 5958, 89898. So what we can do now is we can, I think we can just copy this. It might be some syntax error, but let's try to copy this and paste it in here and run this. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so everything was accepted. We expected 595. We got that, everything was accepted, 38 milliseconds. So I'm just gonna keep a tab on that. So let's do, so if we go here, GPT-4o mini, solved, yes. And the runtime was 38 milliseconds. We can just do 38 ms. I just wanna see if there are any differences, right? So let's try another model. So let's do, I don't know. Let's do a Claude model. Let's do 3.5 Sonnet. I don't expect this to be as quick as GPT-4o mini, but I kind of expect it's gonna solve this too. But let's see now. Okay, so we have the plan. It looks kind of similar if you ask me. Yeah, we have the, we're gonna use the same tests, right? Okay, so that looks good. Let's see now. Yeah, okay. Let me copy this. Think it's gonna be this. Let's go back here. Let's reset this, right? Let's, oops. Put this in, run. Okay, so we got accepted. So it was a bit slower, 53 milliseconds. I don't know if that doesn't matter, but we got accepted again. So 53 milliseconds. So that was Claude 3.5 Sonnet. Yes. 53 ms. Okay, interesting. So yeah, that is basically my setup. Let's do a super quick model. Let's just do Grok Llama 70B and see if it can solve it, because this is super fast, right? It's pretty fun to do this with Grok because it's so quick. I'm not quite sure if it's gonna solve it though. Okay, so it failed the first test. It's so quick. Failed the second test. No, that did not work. Okay, so now we know that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna run through every single model again, like I did before, and then we're gonna do like a wrap up, see what kind of models it did actually solve the hard Leetcode. So yeah, see you on the other side. Okay, so that was all the OpenAI model done. You can see I tried to run the code here, but it got the case 1 and 3 wrong. It got case 2, that was correct. But GPT-4 Turbo did not get case 1 and 3. So if you take a quick look now, you can see all the OpenAI models except GPT-4 Turbo did solve this. So now let's move on to Anthropic. Okay, so that was all the models done. So you can see the final model here was CodeStraw. It didn't make it, but if we copy, yeah, it has to be this code, right? Let's paste it in here and let's run this. It wrote a code here, but it was very slow. Very strange. I think the runtime was like 4 seconds or something. 4 seconds. It got case 1 and 2 correct, but not case 3. So I guess it was close and a very bad runtime. If we go over to the results now, you can see, okay, so no, one open source model got this. So DeepSeek Coder, 53 milliseconds. The fastest code we got was from Mistral Large. If we zoom in a bit, all OpenAI models except GPT-4 Turbo, Opus and Sonnet completed this. The strange thing was Open Mistral Nemo also did this. That was a bit of a surprise. Other than that, no big surprises. The fastest runtime was Mistral Large. So I think I just put the code down here. This was the fastest runtime I got during the testing here. So if we go back here, paste in this, I got around 30 milliseconds. But yeah, you can see it varies. It doesn't really matter, right? So I'm not going to go too much into this, but 37. So it does fluctuate a bit, the runtime. I guess that's some ping and something, right? The server. But other than that, I was kind of happy with the results. I think it turned out pretty good. And of course, I was expecting the proprietary models to do this. And all the newer models solved it. So that was interesting. But I'm going to keep this. I'm going to keep the problem. I'm going to keep this first simple problem we had, right? And I'm just going to keep testing when new models come out. So I'm gonna do some more fine-tuning on the prompts here because like we talked about, sometimes the code is good, but the problem is that it doesn't follow instructions, and that doesn't give like a very clear picture if the code it actually writing is good. That means that we kind of manually had to run the code. But for now, I'm going to keep it like this. Of course, if you want to try this out, become a member of the channel, link in the description. I will put this up probably tomorrow. So you can go to GitHub and fork or clone this to set it up for yourself. Then you can kind of change up everything and yeah, do it the way you want it. But again, I hope you found this interesting. I thought it was pretty cool. And there's tons of other stuff you can do with this, right? You can kind of shape this tester to whatever you want. It doesn't have to be coding skill. It can be writing copy. It can be doing some agentic stuff. It can be, yeah, I guess that's basically up to you if you want to try it out. So other than that, yeah, I really enjoyed this. I hope you did too. Might be a live stream later this week. We'll see. If not, probably see you again on, yeah, at the end of the week. So have a great day and we speak soon.